New payrolls a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's easier, and got it also.
Oh,
You might be able to do a lot today. But if we can finish up yesterday's Gemara that I
Right.
didn't know at the end.
right.
So the subject was over there about the Mishnah, where I'm Memches Amud Beis, the end of the parak, and the Mishnah over there had brought down the story about Maisa of Beis Choron, that somebody was making a wedding feast for his son, and he wanted to invite his father, who was a Mudar Anah. So he gave it to somebody and said, "I'm giving it to you in order that my father should be able to come." So he told him, if I can't be Makdash, then you didn't give it to me. And the Mishnah says that he's right, that it's only has to be a real present, it can't be fake. At the end, at the bottom of the page, the Gemara had brought a machlokas how you said it exactly. Did he say, "I'm giving it to you only that my father should be able to come"? That's for sure he didn't mean it. But machlokas in the two lashonos, if he would have said, "I'm giving it to you in order," not to say only in order, I'm giving it to you in order, my father should maybe over there means to say that I appreciate if you would invite him, and it's yours. So that was machlokas. The Gemara started off on Amud Beis about a case where somebody wanted to disinherit his son. So at first it started that he was going to answer him on the nechasim, and the simple words of the Gemara mashma. Then it goes to the next Jewish. Then the round says a little bit different, but the point was he didn't want this son to inherit. But they told him that you might have a grandson who is worthy of inheritance. So the Gemara talked about. I'm giving it to him. I'm giving it to the son that I don't want to give it. This son he didn't want to inherit. And if the grandson is going to be worthy, then it should give it over to him. And the Gemara talks about that's called kinyan v'nas lahaknos. So I'm only giving it to you for the purpose of giving it to somebody else. Is that a good kinyan or not? The Gemara brought kinyan siddur. One said it's not good. The other brought kinyan siddur. Whenever you do kinyan siddur, you're giving a handkerchief, whatever, in order to get something, and then you get the handkerchief back also. And means you only gave him the handkerchief for the purpose of that it should have one purpose, that it should do the kinyan, but not that it's getting it. Not that he can keep it. He can't keep it. He only could use it for the kinyan siddur, and he has to give it back. And that the Gemara had two complaints. Rav Ashi said 2 points. First of all, maybe they want to get the kinyan siddur, maybe you could keep it. Usually you don't. Usually you give it back. The customer wants to give it back. The customer is also not to give it back. But Rav Ashi said maybe you can keep it. When you give the kinyan siddur, maybe you can keep it. And the second point was that it's worse over here because by the kinyan siddur, at least it works. That right now I'm giving it to you in order to use it for whatever. I'm giving it, and anytime that you give it, I'm giving it to you in order to give over to somebody else. Maybe it works. But if I'm giving it, what?
When it's chal now.
When it's chal now, right? But if, like this son over here, the grandson didn't become a Talmud Chacham yet. Could be it wasn't even born. Even if he was born, he wasn't yet a Talmud Chacham. So that time that it's on hold, I'm giving it to you, but you can't do anything with it now. And eventually, if he becomes a Talmud Chacham, so then give it over to him. So since right now it can't take effect, so that's worse. So that was the Gemara's question so far. Can you do kinyan v'nas lahaknos? The Gemara then brings our Mishnah, and that's where we stopped yesterday. So we can start again from here. Amalei Rav Nachman. It's about 10 lines from the bottom. Amalei Rav Nachman. Manas Beis Choron the kinyan v'nas lahaknos below kani. This is as far as we got. So the question is that the case of Manas Beis Choron until now, what was the whole case? That somebody, the son, wanted to make a wedding feast for his son. He wanted to invite his father, the grandfather of the chassan. So he gave it to somebody and said, "I'm giving it to you," and really he wasn't giving it to him. That was the point. He really wasn't giving it to him. But now the Gemara is throwing in a new subject. That's only if you talk about giving me. He has to give it. I have to give it to you for all purposes. So then I didn't give it. Even though I said I'm giving it to you, I wasn't really giving it to you. But if there's a new concept called then I can give it to you just for the purpose of giving it on to somebody else. If that works, so then by nedarim, it shouldn't be a problem either, because I'm giving it to you in order to give to my father. Why can't he say, I'm giving it, that's what the Farshim seem to say, that's what they seem to say, that I'm giving it to you in order to give to my father. The whole issue about talking about that it's a fake out is only if I have to give it to you. I didn't really give it to you because you can't be makdish. I want you to invite my father. But if there's a new concept called kinyan v'nas lahaknos, I'm giving it to you for the sole purpose of giving it to somebody else. If that works, so then I'm giving it to you for the purpose of giving it to my father, and by nedarim also it should be good. That seems to be the Gemara's concept. So inside, the Mishnah says that it does not work. You can't do a kinyan just for one purpose. It has to be I'm giving it to you completely. That is yours. So two to listen. Zimnin, this should be a Zion here. In this print, it's not, it's rubbed out, but it should be a Zion. Zimnin, Amalei, Mishum Desudasa Muchachas Oba. Sometimes he used to answer him when Rabbi would ask the question to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman had sometimes one answer, sometimes another answer. One time he answered, Mishum Desudasa Muchachas Oba. So that's a little difficult a little bit. The words mean that it's Muchach, that he didn't mean to give it to him, He just meant to give it to him in order to give to the father. But the kasha is still it's not clear what the answer is, because that was the whole point. The whole point was that if it is possible to give something for the purpose of giving it over further, so then it's good. What's the problem? I'm giving it to you only in order to like my father. So the Gemara is difficult. The Gemara needs explanation. So the Ran over here says, I don't see the words of the Gemara, but the Ran says that whenever you give it in order that it should go further, that's not as bad as our case. The case of Manas Beischoron is worse. And if I got it right, what he means to say is, by the Manas Beischoron, it wasn't the case of this wedding feast, it wasn't just that the father should be able to come and eat. It was the father should be able to come and eat from the wedding feast. It means it's really a fake out. It's not only a fake out, how much I'm giving it to you. Even if he would have said, I'm giving it to you for the purpose of giving it further, it's not, the father is not happy that he's going to be invited. Let's say the neighbor's name is Levi. Someone's making a wedding feast for a son. Shimon's making a wedding feast for a son, and he wants his father to come. So he tells his neighbor, Levi, please, I'm giving it to you in order to give it to my father. The father is not interested in eating Levi's food. The father's not hungry. He doesn't need Levi's chatzar. He doesn't need Levi's food. He's coming to the wedding feast. So it's a joke, so to speak, to say that he's gave it to Levi and Levi's giving it. They would really give it to Levi and give it to him, like the case, the guy's hungry on the road and I have to get the food over. So I'm giving it to somebody to give to him. It doesn't have to come from me. Like you don't even have to tell him that you got it from me. I just want him to get the food. He's there, he's interested in the food. He doesn't care whose food it is, as long as it came from somebody. It's not a mudarana. But over here, he wants that it should be called that it's the wedding feast that the son is making. So here it's worse because he does not want to give it at all. That it should be it's not even giving it in order that it should go on to the next party, to his father. He wants that it should still be mine. So that's why it might be worse. It's a very beautiful svara, I think, but I don't see it in the words of the Gemara.
So when it says Sudaso, it means that his son's feast.
I don't know. It means this his suda. It means the wedding feast that the man made. It shows that he didn't mean it. But the problem is that it's the same words as it says in Amar Aleph. The last three words are it's the same words, and it doesn't show that it means this point that the Ran is saying. So that's is the same three words in the bottom of Amar Aleph. But that's just showing the Ran, where the Ran says it. The Ran seems to say this, that the point is that he should have it. There's a word over here. Here it says. This word iu should be emphasized. That it's the one that I made for my son. Not some that he should eat a meal. He's not interested the father should have a meal or should have a courtyard to sit down. He wants it to be my wedding feast that I'm making for the son. So therefore, it's worse. That's one teretz that he says sometimes. And other times he told him that it's a machlokes, means that our issue with Kiyam Nas Laknos will be a yes kani. How come an Amish says not? Because it's Rabbi Lezer. What does Rabbi Lezer say? So that's the beginning of our parak. He spoke about, or even an earlier parak. I forgot. Maybe it's the parak before, right? Parak before already. We had machlokes about Vita Rasa b'Mudarana, something that people usually forego. It's not considered. People are not marking on it. If someone's walking through your field, you don't usually mind. But maybe a mudarana is worse, and even something which you wouldn't mind from a regular outsider, you do mind if it's a person who's mudarana, you answer even that. So the question is, what does that have to do with us? Who's talking about Vitor over here? So the Mefarshim say, the Ran says that doesn't really mean anything to do with Vitor. It's just bringing an example. That Rabbi Lezer is more machmir by a mudarana more than other cases. Nothing to do with the case of Vitor. Just you find Rabbi Lezer is more machmir by nedarim than otherwise. So even if the regular monetary laws will say Kniyam Nas Laknos does work, maybe by nedarim it doesn't work. That's all the Gemara meant. Gemara's kasha now from the Mishnah that says the word kol. This word kol. Tanan, we learned on Mishnah Amru Chachamim kol matana she'ena she'im makdisha atem mukdeshes ena matana. And the word kol is superfluous. Our Mishnah said that Manas B'Yisrael doesn't work because the recipient is not allowed to be makdash. If you're not allowed to be makdash, so then it's not considered a matana at all. But it says the word kol matana, any matana. Kol asuyemai. Isn't it? What's the word kol coming to include? Lav lasuy hamilsa. The Shadi Bekipi isn't it coming to say the case? Shadi Bekipi was this Ganav over here. The case of the story of our story. Kniyam Nas Laknos, a regular Kniyam Nas Laknos case. The Gemara said that Manas B'Yisrael maybe is worse. The Gemara tried to get out of it. And even though Manas Beis is not good, maybe two reasons. Maybe it's not good because over there he wants that it should be still called the father Suda, or maybe because Rabbi Lezer says you're more machmer by nedarim. But the Gemara is asking on both of us, the fact that it says kol, it's coming to be married by something else, isn't it?
I'm sorry, what is the shadi?
Shadi,
I thought we said before Shamit.
It's the same.
right, it's whatever the word shad, whatever the shad is going to be, they say it's referring to that Gemara before.
Okay.
The case of the person who was stealing, that he know that the father didn't want his son to inherit, and he had an eitzah. The Gemara was talking about the eitzah that I'll give it to him in order to give it over to the next generation if it's a good generation. And the Gemara thinks that the fact that it says in our Mishnah, the Gemara had a focus if it works or not. Could you do that? And the Gemara wants to prove from the word kol that the fact that it says kol, even though the story of Manas Beis maybe does not approve, like the Gemara said, two terutzim, either because it doesn't mochiach alav or because Rabbi Lezer is machmer more by nedarim. But the fact that it says kol, it seems to be marba even more than the Mishnah's case that it's going to be also amanas lakdash is not good, or maybe at least as much the fact that it's not chal right away, like Ravashi said that it can't happen right away. So the Gemara is matcha low. It's not a proof that amanas lakdash is not good. That is the bottom of Amar Aleph. And the bottom of Amar Aleph brought two Lashonos. If case of Manas Beis Choron, if he said, I'm giving it to you only for the purpose that my father should come, that surely means I'm not really giving it to you. Or if he said, I'm giving it to you in order, not only in order, I'm giving it to you in order, my father should come, maybe over there, it just meant to say, it's yours, and you can do whatever you want to with it, but I hope that you're going to invite my father. But when I told the Shonos about that, according to the first version, Rabbi said that's good. And the Lishna Achrina said, no, that Rabbi says it's not good. Even that case is also not good. So it could be, according to the second Lashon, you can say that the reason why it says in the Mishnah Kol is to say, even that case, even that terminology of not being so aggressive, it's even a mild Lashon to say, I'm giving it to you in order, not only in order, but giving it to you in order. That Mishnah coming to say even that term is also not good. It also means to say that you can't do whatever you want to with it, but it's not necessarily coming to say that other cases are not good, like the case where it wouldn't be Manas Beis Choron, maybe Dafka Manas Beis Choron because it's a neder, or because it's muchaf that he wants the father to come to the wedding banquet, not just to have food. That's the end of the sugya, and just halacha l'maisa, we said this comes up. It doesn't really come up, but it could come up. That when someone's giving a kinyan siddur, this was Levi Yaakov's case, that someone gave a kinyan siddur, does he get it back? So Agmar had a question. First, the Gemara said you have to give it back. And then Rashi said, maybe you don't have to give it back. Maybe you're allowed to keep it. It's only a nice thing to give it back, but you don't have to. So in Allah it says you have to give it back. That if you are any reason you're doing a kinyan siddur, you go to Yosef Weiss, to do the Mechiras Chometz, and he gives you a handkerchief and you mark him the Chometz, and then you want to keep the handkerchief, you're not allowed to. You have to any kinyan siddur when the Eidim come by Eris and by Chas, they make a kinyan siddur. So whoever donated the handkerchief or the yarmulke, the pen, whatever they give
So it's not
to make kinyan siddur, it is chalipin.
Why do you have to give back? Isn't chalipin? I give you my thing, you give me yours.
That was the sugya. That was it's
So
only
why
a
do you have to
kinyan.
give back?
No, it's not. A kinyan siddur doesn't mean that you have to give back. It's only a way of making a kinyan. The way you do is I give you a pen and you give me your table, but then I get my
It's a
pen back.
halva. It's not.
It's kinyan manas laknos. The more calls it kinyan manas laknos.
Because it's immediate, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's
but
immediate.
right. And kinyan manas laknos, Paskin is kona, which kinyan manas laknos. I'm giving it to you only for the purpose of giving it to somebody else. You can't do anything with it. All you can do is give it to somebody else. So it's the same thing as kinyan siddur that the Gemara said. I'm giving it to you this handkerchief for the purpose of making a kinyan, nothing else. It doesn't for the purpose of that's all you can do with it. Make a kinyan with it, that you can make it belong to me. But you have to but you're not going to anything else. That's all you can do with it is use it for the kinyan. So far those two halachas are one.
If we do it with a pen, I wouldn't be able to use the pen to sign my name in the meantime and then give it back.
Right. Because you only have permission to use the pen only for making a kinyan. It's only a kinyan. And that's all it is. And therefore the Rav was not correct. By Levi Yaakov. Over there, someone gave a handkerchief for a kinyan siddur, and she wanted it back, and she gets it back. And if the person,
he said they're nice people, they'll give it.
so it doesn't have to be nice people. Even if they're not nice people, those have to give it.
No, but she wasn't the one making the kinyan. She just donated the handkerchief to the one making the kinyan. So from him, she wanted it back. For him, it had to be.
It has to be his. It has to be his. It has to be not the Caleb shah, not the one who's being mocked, not the one who's being.
Oh, maybe that's what he meant. Very good.
Okay. And as far as the case where the Gemara says it only works when it can take call now, but if it will be later on when somebody comes to Talmud Chacham, or you say 30 days, I'm giving it to you, I'm giving something to you in order to give over to him in 30 days, or whatever, tomorrow, whatever it is. So then it might not be good, because the Gemara said that even though by Suda we say is good, that's only because everything could happen right now. This was Rabashi's second point. Rabashi said 2 points. One was, first of all, by the Suda, maybe he's allowed to keep it. That's how we pass can know. Is good. And he said a second point, that even if Suda is good, maybe it's only because it can happen right now. Can even hush that. But in a case where it can't happen right now, so then it doesn't work. So that's how we pass. We're choshish for that sheet also. So again, King and Suda, if you made a King and Suda, you have to give it back to the one who it belonged to. You can't keep it. The Makna can't keep it when it gets to Suda, has to give it back. And just to remember, always remember, you said twice, by Ramban, just to have the story in the head that someone comes and he wants to keep the handkerchief. So Rav Nebenzahl will say no, you have to give it back. Yosef Weiss gets back his handkerchief. That's the way to remember the halacha.
Okay.
That
And what were you-
goes back.
Okay, but what were you saying about if he does it to give to the other?
So that's called Kiyam Aslach. I'm giving you something now. You can't keep it. I'm giving it to you for the purpose of giving it to him.
Yeah, I always
So that also is good. But if I'll say I'm giving it to you in order to give it to him tomorrow, you can't don't give it to him today. Give it to him tomorrow in 30 days.
To give it to him
And
immediately.
only immediately then it works. But if it's going to be later on, then it might not be good. That's very a suffix, because the Gemara said a suffix about it. That might not
why
work.
immediately
Because then everything happens right away. Right away, I'm Yikona in order to give it over. But if Yikona and you can't give it over right now, so then by the time you give it over, you never owned it.
So I always thought that was a cheap item, so that if it's moved over and got into the other
And
apartment.
no, you give an expensive pen, and you get it back. You take out your
Sudar is just the
I don't know the name of the fancy pen, a gold watch. Oh,
no.
you give over the gold watch and make a king of Suda, and he says,
Something
I'd
else, but we
like
talking
to have
about
the gold
Sudar.
watch. You gave it to me. He said, no,
What?
you have to give it back. The halacha l'muslim-
Don't try it.
Not in the process of Suda. You can't keep the king of Suda.
No, because I don't know. To me, I always have a side issue. I always thought a handkerchief is not worth a shavapruta. So I'm always not happy when they make king with a handkerchief. No one's gonna buy a used handkerchief. Would you buy anyone's used handkerchief?
Not you. That one's not gonna be.
No, even if it's
Clean,
new,
but it's washed, but it's in secondhand. No one buys these secondhand handkerchiefs. I don't know what it's worth.
They must have had a different
You're
kind
saying
of.
if somebody
Sudar
nobody
in
buys
those
it, means
days.
it's not worth anything.
Fancy.
the value goes according to the market price. Is there a market price for a used for somebody? Not the used doesn't mean that it hasn't been cleaned.
It's a shovel.
It's-
I don't know. Do you know anyone who would buy a secondhand handkerchief?
Of course.
Okay, so then I'm wrong. I take it back.
Okay. Next
If I
paragraph.
had to do a Kenyan sooner, and the only way to do it is.
Oh, but you-
So pay that I go to buy a.
You want the
Yeah,
purpose.
maybe 60.
No, I'm gonna put this between some of them.
Okay. Next paragraph. The next paragraph talks, the beginning at least talks about different terms, what they mean. And by neder, you have to know what each term means and how people talk. And the question is that the whole paragraph, or many things coming up, everything depends on the time and place. So I said at the beginning of the dorm that I don't know why there's so many details that are spelled out in the Masechta, because it depends on the time, how people use that term. Lashon b'nei Adam. So I don't know why the Mishnah elaborates so much to say what each term means, since it's subject to change. But that's what we're going to learn. That's what we learn about. I'm sure there's things to learn about on the side, but the actual meaning of what the terms refer to, it depends on the time and place. So the first term is mavushal, the word mavushal. I know the mavushal. Someone made a neder that he's not going to benefit or eat mavushal. What does mavushal mean? Cooked. So how about roasted and cholent? Is that included? Mutter b'tzali or b'shalok? Is a mutter in things that are roasted? The word mavushal does not include roasting. I'm sure you can find in English also there are words that might be all inclusive, or it might be specific. Cooked means cooked, roasted means roasted.
Oh, you make some for cooked meals, so it could be any type of food. Don't need dafka cooked. Could be right.
Okay, that's the question. What does the word mavushal mean? So here it says that mavushal means only cooked.
We would
And
say
shalok means what we call overcooked or very
Very
cooked,
cooked.
like shalom. Shalom is not called
Very
cooked.
cooked.
Shalom is called the shalok. Shalok, that means it's cooked very much. So that's not included in the word mavushal. Mavushal means regular cooked. Next case.
Also, it could be. I'm just throwing out. Correct me if I'm wrong. It could be that depends who you have. If someone is just a simple person, so when he says something, it's more inclusive. If they're very into that field, so they more what they say they're more specific.
So I guess it goes according to real people.
Why do you say it goes to be the one who's making the message?
I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know idea.
It could be those days, it was, everything was very specific in those days.
But you
If
see
I
that the
say
Mishnah
they're
had
on
to go.
Ban Shul, I mean
You
the whole
see
thing.
the-
If you say they're on Ban, you mean a certain part, because that's where you want. No, a lot of times you have someone who's more there and needs more specific.
Could be, or, but the Mishnah, the Mishnah is gonna say all these terms, and that maybe it was not so defined, because you see, the Mishnah has to explain each thing what it means, what includes, what it doesn't include. So it could be that there are people that would have meant one way, another way, and the Mishnah is defining.
So I don't know why, you don't go, you should go after that person, see what that person meant. I don't
And
know.
you have your old question of asking. Next case, tafshil. It could have said an odom and a tafshil, but it says a different term, a different setting. I don't know. And they're showing them ask how come it changes the wording. But the main point is to say, what does tafshil mean? Amar, he said, konam tafshil sheni toim. He made a neder that he's not going to taste tafshil. What does the word tafshil include? So here it doesn't go back to the first point about roasted and overcooked. Also, ma'aseh kedei rach, u'muter ba'aver. That ma'aseh kedei means something that's cooked in a pot. If it's soft, like a porridge or something like that, so then that's what he meant. Tafshil means some kind of soft cooked thing. But if it's thick, if it's a thick consistency, that's not included in the word tafshil. The word tafshil only means a thin consistency, not a thick. Also, mutter bebeitza termuta, even though I said the word tafshil, it doesn't include this beitza termuta, which you need the Gemara to explain what does that mean. What's this beitza termuta? We don't know yet. And also, it's mutter, but las or mutza. The las is a pumpkin, squash. The mutza means that it's been cooked or heated on ashes, on coals. And that doesn't, the word tafshil does not include that. Maybe we can more on that. I don't know. I didn't see it yet. The last mutza means a pumpkin which has been cooked on, heated, roasted, whatever, on coals. But I don't know enough about that yet. We'll see the Gemara. I didn't get so far in the Gemara yet. And that was about muvushal and tafshil. How about the word ma'aseh kedera, yored the kedera? I know there'll be ma'aseh kedera. If somebody said, I'm not going to benefit from ma'aseh kedera, what does the word ma'aseh kedera include? Kedera is a pot, and ma'aseh kedera means things cooked in a pot, things that are made in a pot. It only includes things that are boiled. Things that are boiled is called ma'aseh kedera. Even though you put it into a pot, it doesn't mean everything in a pot. It only means this thing ma'aseh ratchata, thing like roteach, things that are boiled.
What else can we do? That's much fun.
Lucky, but if he said hayored the kedera, hayored the kedera, he didn't say ma'aseh kedera. He used whatever goes into the pot, sheni toem. So then also b'cholam is bashlu b'kedera. Anything that's cooked in the kedera, not only the thing that's called ma'aseh ratchata. I understand that it means something which is boiled. Then something that you would say that you're boiling it. Okay, so these are the terms mefushal and tafshil, and the terms of ma'aseh kedera and yored the kedera and l'chora. Everything depends on the time and place and language and slang, whatever it is. The first thing the Mishnah spoke about mevushal, and it said that mevushal does not include roasted and shaluk; it only includes cooked. Tanya of Yoshia Oser. Of Yoshia says that even roasted is also included in the word mevushal. Machlokes what the word mevushal means. Our Mishnah says does not include roasted. Of Yoshia says it does.
Oser, and we know that he means the whole everything.
He means the first line. The first line that said sali. I know the mevushal mutter but sali that he argues on. He says that the word mevushal includes also roasted. So if someone said it's not, our Mishnah has only one Tana, and it says in the Brisa, Yoshia argues and says no, it's awesome. Even though it's not a proof, but there's at least a remez, zecha, way to remember. By Shenem, a pasuk Divrei Hayama, by Vashlu, Pesach, Bo'ish, Kamishpat. It's still want to call him Pesach, and it says that they cooked the Pesach in fire, Kamishpat, as the law. The law is it has to be after roasted. Has to be tzali, and it also says here ba'ish. It says in fire, so it was not cooked; it was roasted, and still it says vayibashlu. So you see that the word vayishlu could also mean roasted. So
I'm sorry, the brisa was only the fact that he said oser.
No, the whole thing, 2.5 lines. So the more I think now that's the machlokes, because people don't call roasted mevushal. But the pasuk does. Maybe this machlok is the following: to have Yoshia Saba Alacha Chaloshin Torah, the Tana Dilan Saba Benodam Alacha Chaloshin Meleyadam. To have Yoshia, the only reason why he says it's us is because the Torah calls it that. Pasuk in Divrei Hayama calls it by Vashlo, it means roast. And our Tana doesn't care that the Torah calls it that because people don't talk that way. Is that the machlok is? That the reason why Yoshia shows that it's us, even though people don't call it bishul, but the Torah does. And it goes according to the Lashon Torah. And our Tana says you go according to Lashon Meleyadam. So the one says no, lo. The Kuliyam b'nedarim alakach chalash b'nei adam. Everybody holds you go according to the way people speak. We don't care if the Torah says that word. People don't speak that way. So how come Rabbi Yoshi says that it's asa? Not because of the pasuk. Marki asrei or marki asrei. Each person is going according to his town and his place. How do they speak? Basra the time you learn the sli correlates sli, or the mavushal correlate mavushal. Basra Rabbi Yoshia afilu sli kor mavushal. That in our Tana's place they only call mavushal. If it would be roasted, they wouldn't call it mavushal. And in Rabbi Yoshia's place, they would call roasted also mavushal. So how come he brings a pasuk? He brings a pasuk. What's the pasuk? It doesn't make a difference if it's a pasuk or not. It just depends how people talk. The answer is asmachta b'alma, like he says. It's not a proof. The proof is the proof is only what people how people talk.
It's only an asmachta for the people that.
It's only asmachta means it's a remez. It's a remez. It's a mnemonic. It's a way to remember. It's you see that people once upon a time talk that way. The Torah says that, but not that that's the reason. The reason that it's a neder or not, it's not because the Torah says so. The neder is how people talk. It happens to be that some people in our city, they talk like that, and you see the Torah also talk like that, but not that it's a proof. That doesn't make a difference really if the Torah says that way or not.
So there's
It's
no
only a way-
machlokas.
Right, no machlokus. That's the way to say it. It's no machlokus. Everybody holds that you mean according to the way you talk in your place, and there are different places, time and place. So that's all. That's the whole halacha.
Rabbi Shaya is Tana.
Probably.
I'm asking you.
Officially,
Night.
You're not going to find him in the Mishnah. You don't find him in the Mishnah, but he was the Rebbe of Yochanan.
Again, I keep asking this question. How can he? They'll say against what?
I take it back. He's in the Bryce. Tanya Yoshi also says the Tanya.
There's the korach of arguing.
And there's no machlokus. The Gemara says no machlokus. The Gemara says there's no machlokus. Everyone's just saying that how you speak in his place, that's how he spoke, and in that place, that's how they spoke.
But we can agree that against Rav Jens, it goes with probably the majority of how people speaking.
Yeah, this I don't know. This I'm not.
Maybe if you would
I didn't
know,
have a Gemara. I don't know. What do you have? What do you do if
According to that place, if that's
according to the
the way
place.
people speak.
the place? The fact that it says
Yeah,
that's
but
the
it-
place. The place. Okay. Why do you have a person or the elite speak one way? How do they say it? There's the
Oh, well, then, so then you
There's
how do
now-
you define place?
how the Hamonam.
In other words, if that
speaks.
Hevra speaks in a certain way.
Right, so you might have that the college level, they speak one way, and the high school level speaks a different way.
The Yaakov had a nice shot in Asmachta. Asmachta is because the Torah says it, that's why in that place they
They spoke that
spoke
way.
that way.
Could be.
It's
Or,
also,
or the-
they
could be.
have more they have more refined language over there.
Mhm.
Why is that only an asmachta? It's not a proof. Is that what it means?
right. Konam Tavshil, says the next mission says Tavshil, so it's not a difference if it's soft or it's a thick consistency. Vaha mi Tavshil Nadar. The Pashas, they two shot over here, but let's take one shot. But mi Tavshil Nadar, so everything should be us. How come it's only us if it's a soft consistency? Even if it's a hard consistency, also it should be a Tavshil. Tavshil means it was cooked, so why is that not included?
I'm sorry, how do you translate Bahamut? Meat bashil.
The word tavshil. The mem is a prefix, that means from.
Well, simply.
From a tavshil, he made a nether from a tavshil. He made a nether from a tavshil. He said, I'm not gonna eat a tavshil. Right, so it should include everything. The word tavshil should include hard and soft, thick and thin. Yes.
Yeah, the soft meat has been well cooked. And
They want-
could be that hard means that hasn't yet, hasn't got its cook.
No,
Hasn't yet reached the level of cooking.
With eggs, it's the opposite.
We're not talking, I think most of the time it's talking about meat and vegetables, which have to be soft. to eat it. What?
The Gemara answers that it depends what you call. This Tana, the criteria if it's called a tafshil or not, if you eat it together with bread. And the soft consistency you eat together with bread, the thick consistency you don't eat together with bread. So therefore, that's the way it is. That's
Very interesting. What does tafshil have to do with bread?
I don't know.
It's all the same.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, you said Matthias at that time.
Like if you had a schnitzel sandwich, if the schnitzel was dried out and, chewy, very chewy, you'd be, if it's soft and succulent, it would be a nice sandwich.
The word Vatanya usually is a kasha, but here it's not. Here it means, and I'll bring you a proof to that. Vatanya benichus, I'll bring you a proof to that. That it depends if there's a Tana that holds that it depends if you eat bread with it. It says, I know them in a tavshil, same case as our Mishnah, tavshil. Also, b'chol mini tavshil. But first of all, it says also all kinds of tavshil. Okay. Now, Asa B'Tzli V'Shalok is also includes Tzli and Shalok, which the Mishnah in the beginning didn't. Our Mishnah didn't talk about that. Our Mishnah spoke about by Mavushal. It says that it does not include roasted and overcooked. But by the word Tavshal doesn't talk about it. This Brisa says it includes that also. Fine. That the word Tavshal includes everything, all kinds of cooking. Maybe Mavushal does not, and Tavshal does. I don't know. It depends on time and place. Asa behitarios rakos shacholin is the word chola, not a chulin. Shacholin ochlin ben pitan. They're also asa. Someone who made a net from Tavshal is asa to eat. They say it means soft pumpkin. The word itarios means the last pumpkin, and the reason why it's asa is because the sick people eat it together with bread. So the fact that the Brisa goes out of its way to say that the reason why it's asa is because they eat it with bread, that means that that's the koveya. The word tavshal includes anything that's eaten with bread, and you see it after this brisa because the brisa says the reason why it's asa is because they eat it together with bread.
Also mean the neder is chal.
Right, the neder applies to this also. The neder applies to a tarios.
So whatever he must assert himself, then it's asa.
That's for sure. But the question is what do you mean to asa? So we're saying that the word tavshal means anything eaten with bread. Okay, because it is was a big bonus all about what? Something about health.
About eating with bread.
Or health and related subjects coming up. So for the rest of the day is mostly a garden, I think. Amy, is that true that it's healthy for a sick person to eat pumpkin? Amy, Rabbi Yirmiyah was sick. So the doctor came to heal him. And the doctor saw that there was a pumpkin over there in the house of Rabbi Yirmiyah. And Rabbi Yirmiyah was being given to eat the pumpkin when he was sick. Shav gave enough. So he left the house. He said, call the doctor. Just say, there's the Malach HaMoshe in the house. And then I'm coming in to heal him. Like, there's no chance. How can I heal him? He's eating pumpkin. That means that a sick person is not supposed to be eating pumpkin. So how could you say that here it says that pumpkin is good for a sick person? Like, look, a couple of twists. Look, Kasha. Depends if it's soft or hard. So the one that says before that it's good for the sick person, that's when it's soft. Over here they saw that we're giving him hard pumpkin. Hard pumpkin, he wanted to get healed. The word ashuni means hard. That's one teretz. The kara is another word for pumpkin. So
say on when you say kara,
the pumpkin itself is not healthy for the sick person, but the inside of the pumpkin is. The inside probably means that what you cut away. You don't usually eat it. The flesh is the pumpkin. What do you mean? Doesn't mean it. It means that I think that it means the soft part, like you have the seeds and all the mushy part.
Why is it so?
They usually cut it off. So that is healthy for the sick person, and they used to eat that together with bread. And the one that's hard, that means the fruit itself, that's not good. And Rabbi Yirmiyah had that in the house, and the doctor walked out. Damav Yuda will leave it the kara, the silka, will leave it the kitna, the kutcha. The word lulav usually means the tendrils, lulav. But they say over here that it means the inside of the pumpkin. It's good to eat together with silka. Selak is beets. And the inside of the kitna, so the kitna means the flax plant. So it's good to eat with kutach. Kutach is some kind of a dairy dip. But now it says some strange words, which some Mepharshim have difficulty figuring out. Don't tell Amoritz. Don't tell this Amoritz. Why not? Why not tell Amoritz? Some say because they're going to laugh. They're going to say, everybody knows that. Some say they're going to laugh. They're going to say that, what are they coming talking about these things for?
So why did Gemara write it?
Because you're not talking, the Amoritz don't know Gemara. If he's not learning Gemara, it's not an Amoritz.
Right. Okay, I'm not Amoritz.
The other pshatim also, some difficult pshatim. Okay, the Gemara continues the third terrace. We had already two. Akasha it's not a Gemara now. Now it's already going into health. Is pumpkin healthy for a sick person? First terrace is depends if it's soft or hard. Second terrace is the inside for the actual pumpkin. And the third terrace depends what kind of sick person. But I said before that the cholim eat it in the last narrow line. Shachol and Ochlin, that's talking about not a real chola. Real chola shouldn't eat. But Yirmiyah was really sick. But if it's a chola that means Rabbanan, that they're weak, man chola Rabbanan, that the Rabbanan in general were weak because they didn't they dedicated their life very much to Torah and they didn't take care of their health the same way other people did, and they became weak. And that kind of weakness is a weakness, it's not sick. So that weak people, so then it is good to eat pumpkin, but to be sick, mamish shouldn't eat pumpkin. Maslina Nalziv Al Mari, Kaman Kaviosi, that's another subject someplace else. In the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, it says, Akudu Vidavin, about the sick people that they should have a full shleima. Over there, it talks about that if the Yom Adin is only Rosh Hashanah, so what does it help to daven during the rest of the year? If it was Nigzar on him that it should be healthy or sick, it's not going to help to daven in the middle of the year. So the Gemara says, it goes according to Rav Yossi, that says, Adam Nidan B'chol Yom, that a person is judged constantly. But anyway, what does he say? He talks about Kitziri and Miri. So it means sick people. Why does he use two terms for sick people? Medama Kitziri and Miri, Shramino, Kitziri, Kitziri Mamish, Miri, Rabbanan. Since he uses two terms for sick people, Kitziri means the real sick people, very real sick, and Miri means weak people like the Rabbanan that are weak. So you see that, and he says this, that Miri means Rabbanan. So Rabbi said that the Rabbanan are weak, and that's what he meant to say. When it says Cholan before, it does mean the Rabbanan. For a real sick person, it's not good to eat pumpkin.
Are these known Aramaic words? Kitziri and Miri?
Like a Shemei maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's regular Aramaic words, but this is what the Gemara says over here.
Why does it cover? Why does it put in parentheses? It's not.
Because the whole thing is a side subject. It's been parentheses since here. That is pumpkin good for a. No, it's right. It's not for a side subject. It's not pumpkin healthy for a sick man. So there was a question with 3 answers. So I put in parentheses if you like. Hey, parentheses is according to your style. That's your flavor of parentheses. Mutababe. It says in the Mishnah that when you say tafshil, we said that it depends if you eat it with bread. That's what we said a second ago. Eat it with bread, and the Mishnah says that you don't eat a thick consistency of a tafshil together with bread. But then the Gemara says, "Masisim the lokabavloi." If that's so then our Mishnah is against the Babylonian custom. It's not a machlokes; it's just the custom of eating. And the custom in Babel, they would eat bread even with a thick consistency. Rab Zera called the Babylonians foolish that they eat bread with bread. They can make a sandwich, you put something inside the sandwich, but they ate bread with bread. So he was making fun of them that they eat bread with bread.
Zera was one who was only from.
He was first from Babylon, they went there,
Babylon.
and he says that the custom of the Babylonians is another. It doesn't have anything to do, probably doesn't have to do doctor with the Jewish custom. That was how they ate in Babylon. So the Jews also ate. It's like
What did he mean?
that they eat
Stick?
bread with bread. So here the Gemara seems to, I don't know the connection. The Gemara seems to say that we're talking about a dice. We're talking about some. I don't see. We're talking about a tafshil. Tafshil means it'll be something like a farina, a cereal or something, some kind of a cereal.
Oh, I see.
And they will be thin consistency. Then it seems everybody would eat it with bread, but a thick consistency. I don't see the Gemara. I would think that according to Rav Zera, it's not good to eat any kind of a cereal together with bread. But here the Gemara said that the conveyor of tafshil is eaten with bread, and the Mishnah says that you don't eat a thick consistency together with bread. And Rav Zera, and Rav Zera in Babel is against that they would eat even a thick consistency together with bread also. I don't get how you connect all these things, but this was the custom of Babel. They ate.
Isn't there proof for that? I think it's by the Kamkuri, I know that the poor man dips his bread in some spit to give him also some sauce for his bread. Isn't that some requirement for onion?
I don't recall, but it doesn't have to do with the subject of eating bread with bread.
It's soft, so it's a proof that you would have like a sauce, a dip, rather than a.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
No,
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to over there. I don't know which Gemara you're referring to. I don't know. The Gemara goes into these side points about eating bread with bread. I'm Rav Chisda. They say Rav Chisda was from Babel, so he talks about it. Ika.
Why are you calling him Tipshoy? I mean, they're doing something silly, and it's not.
The silliness would be if you say you take two slices of bread, and you put a piece of bread in between. You're making a bread
It's silly
sandwich.
not for the taste; it's for the nutrition. It's not. You're eating fiber or fiber.
Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say.
Can I just suggest,
But it
it's
makes
not
difference
talking
between
about putting bread in between, but like a hard, let's say a hard hamburger, that's really overcooked, and it's the same constitution.
I don't think so.
Constituency of bread.
Bread with bread.
I mean, that's stupid. I mean, that's
Okay.
totally stupid. Like,
Your last night the pita bread was delicious. I ate it by itself. You don't have to.
But you're not putting anything in. But here, putting bread with bread. As if you take two kinds of bread and you eat them together. I was once by a Sephardi place, and someone made fun of the Ashkenazim. They eat potato burekas. They ate a burek. It's starch with starch. But cheese and like, what's this? He said, "If light up show, eat bread with bread." They had nothing else in Europe. They only had potatoes. They put whatever they had.
Very good.
I'm Rav Chisda. Iko Leka, the Mashalom, the Helen Nakdani, the Hutzal. Is there anybody that can ask the precise people of Hutzal? Hutzal was in Babel, it seems.
Who says the
The
what?
name of a city. And Nakdani, they say means like the precise people, those who know the exact, precise way how to do it. How are you supposed to eat the daisa? So he said they ate nama banama. They used to eat lechem with the bread with bread. They would eat daisa together with bread. Adain daisa, hechen mal ilumechla. Which is the good way of eating it? The chiti, the lachma the chiti with the sari, the lachma the sari. Or dilma, the chiti with the sari with the chiti. You can eat lachma, you can eat daisa with bread, but there are two kinds of breads. There are two kinds of daisa. You can have barley, you can have wheat, both of bread and of daisa, of the cereal. So is it the proper way? Doesn't mean either proper, does it taste good, does it healthy? I don't know, but is it the proper way of eating it? Barley, daisa with wheat bread, and wheat daisa with barley bread, or barley with barley, wheat with wheat. So that's a question. It's not halacha. It's a question of eating. Is it healthy? Does it taste good? I don't know.
You including Judaic hearts?
I would think
I like try. I didn't get this last night with it. It's different kinds of grains. I don't.
there's barley and there's wheat.
Okay.
You can make bread out of either kind, and you can make dice out of either kind.
This is the parts. Dice we'll call like it's
Cereal from grain cereal. So in what do we say that in Babel they ate grain with grain. They ate lachma b'lachma. So they would have porridge together with bread. So is it the way that they would eat? Would they eat barley with barley and wheat with wheat, or they would eat barley with wheat and wheat with barley?
Mine after me. I mean, because this constitution is the same. You know?
As you wish. The more continues. This
Oh, there was no answer?
no, yeah, he says, is anybody that can ask them? Next Gemara. Rava achle b'chasisi. Rava ate the bread together with chasisi. What's chasisi? So some say that it means kloyos, kemach shel kloyos, that they took roasted wheat and they roasted grain and they made flour out of it. They ground it down, and he would eat the bread together with that. Some say chasisi means adashim, kemach of adashim, that you take lentils and make a flour out of that. Some kind of also, maybe it's also considered lechem b'lechem, or maybe it's not. I don't know. Ask Gemara. Interesting Gemaras, but I don't know what to do. Rabbi Bar Huna, Ashkechelu Rav Huna, the Kachel Daisa Bes Base. Rabbi Bar Huna saw Rav Huna, maybe it's his father, I don't know, that he was eating daisa with his fingers. Amalei, Amai Kachel Mabiyale, why do you eat with your hands? Amalei, Hachi Amar Rav, Rabbi said, Daisa Bes Basa Basim. V'chol dekein betartin, v'chol dekein betlas. Rav says that daisa with your fingers, basim. Basim usually means that it tastes good. If you eat it with your finger, it tastes good. And if you use 2 fingers, even better. 3 fingers, even better. What does it mean? Is it a segula that is healthier? Does it taste better? Is it devacheres to eat like that? I don't know. Next Gemara.
Why is the Gemara quoting this?
I don't know.
This is what do you call it? This is for chefs and
I don't know. Amalei Rav Lechia Brei. Rav said to his son Chia bar Rav. Rav said to his son Chia. Rav Huna said to his son Rabba. That's Rabba Bar Huna. So the father said to the son, Mizam lelach lemechel daisa ad parsa. Lemechel bisra the Torah ad lasa parsa. If you got invited to eat daisa, go even for a parsa. Parsa is like 4 kilometers. Go 4 kilometers to eat daisa. If you get invited to eat ox meat, then go even 3 parsa, even 12 kilometers. What do you mean to say? The daisa is healthy and meat is even healthier. Next Gemara.
Further, you have to, which one went further?
Meat is 3 times as far. 1 parsa, 3 parsa.
Oh, you mean it gives you the energy to go
No,
there?
I don't think so. It means you can say
Or you have to
you
go
can say the
bathroom?
chat. No, he says go if you get it's kedai to walk a mile for
Oh, Kedai to walk that far.
that's what I think.
Walk now for 10, I get it.
How
Amalei.
far are you gonna go for a good chasana meal?
For a good diet.
For a good lasagna?
Amalei Rav Lechia Brei. V'chein Amalei Rav Huna the Rabba Brei. Rav told the son Chia, and also Rav Huna told the son Rabba. Kol midam lo siflot kamei Rabba. It's not it's to spit out in front of you, to spit in front of your Rebbe. So don't spit out anything in front of your Rebbe. But Laban and Kara Daisa, but two exceptions. After you eat pumpkin or after you eat daisa, and now you have saliva in your mouth, you want to spit, spit. It's not healthy to keep it in. Shein domen lepsilta shel lavor. That it says it's like a lead. Avor is lead. Psilta shel lavor means when you have heated lead and you pour it out. That's called a psilta shel lavor. So it means it's terrible. If you're going to swallow the saliva that you have in your mouth after eating pumpkin or daisa, it's very unhealthy. So spit it out, even if your Rebbe is there. But even in front of the king, also spit it out. It's not healthy, and it's a sakana, so spit it out. Nugumar, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, they were eating together daisa. One was eating with his fingers and taking it out of the serving bowl, and one was eating with a hutza, which is a kind of a spoon. We say hutza is a leaf of a lulav. It's called a hutza, but it was some kind of a utensil, and also taken from the serving bowl. So the one who was eating with his fingers, the one who was eating with the spoon, we'll call it, said to the one who's eating with his fingers, "You're giving me your dirt, your dirty fingers. You're putting it back. You're putting your dirty finger back into what?"
His speaking is advertised.
Yes, to how long are you going to give me to eat? Your so it doesn't mean excrement. It means the dirt under his fingernails. So you're putting your dirty fingers into the food. The one who was eating with his fingers said to the one who was eating with the spoon, "You're giving me your saliva because you put the spoon that you ate from, you put it back into the serving bowl. You give me your saliva."
But when you stick in your finger and you stick it back in, there's also saliva.
So they they would wipe off the saliva from their fingers before they would put it back into a serving bowl.
And why couldn't they use a serving spoon?
Oh, that's what that's what we're supposed to learn from this. That we might like bullshit this, that you shouldn't put your fingers in, you shouldn't put your spoon in. There should be a separate serving spoon. And if someone sticks his own spoon into the serving bowl, you tell him,
Yeah, people today are very much.
Yeah, but they're not so makpid on, like even last night I took potato chips with my fingers. Or like popcorn. It's something that people.
So would it touch the other popcorns? People are conscious about germs and all kinds of things that you don't see. Those days I don't know if they knew about the germs, it was about the dirt. Or it's nimas, it's disgusting.
This is something soft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the mix.
The chips are hard, yeah.
I guess you have to ask people if they're not good on that, if they have no problems, so everything, that's fine.
Okay.
Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, Isim Kamayu Blus fine. They brought before we read Rabbi Shimon Blus fine. Everybody knows. I don't know. Everybody knows. Everybody says the same thing. That's a kind of a fig. I don't know. Everybody knows. It's a kind of a fig. Kind of a fig. They say that and the Gemara says it was a difficult, hard to digest. Rabbi Yehuda achal, Rabbi Shimon lo achal. Rabbi Yehuda ate it. Rabbi Shimon did not. Rabbi Yehuda, my time lo achal ma. Rabbi Yehuda asked Rabbi Shimon, why not eating these tainu? Rabbi Shimon elu and Yosem mebnei mayim kolik. It doesn't get out of the intestines. Like once it's in, it doesn't get out. It means it's hard to digest. That's wonderful. It'll even be helping us for tomorrow. It means if it gets digested fast, so then it's only for today. But this thing takes a long time to digest, so we'll be able to benefit from it tomorrow also. New story. Rabbi Yehuda have a yasel kamei Rabbi Tarfon. Amalei Rabbi Tarfon hayom panachat tzuvim. Rabbi Tarfon said to Rabbi Yehuda that your face are glowing. Your face is a glowing face. You look great. You know why? Because yesterday your servants went out to the field and they brought trodin, which is usually translated as either beets or spinach. We ate it without salt. And trodin is so healthy that it makes my face glow. And if we would have had salt, it would have been even better. Next Gemara. A certain matron, a woman, a noble woman, said to Rabbi Yehuda, More of a Ravi, your paskin and your shikar means he looked from his face. He looked like he was so glowing, like he looked like he was drunk, not from his actions, but from his face. So your paskining halachas, your rav and your shikar. Amalah nusa biyada dahi itza itimna ela kedusha v'abdalta v'arbagasi lepisa. I swear by your life, I guess. Emnusa biyada. I'm not sure how the terminology means. I swear, but I don't know how he said it. Emnusa biyada dahi itza. Emnusa. Emunasi. The Rashi over here says Emunasi, like maybe I'm swearing by my amuna, by my belief, is in the hands of this woman. It means to say, I swear. I don't know how he swore. But he said, I swear that I don't have wine only for Kiddush and Havdalah and the 4 courses of Pesach. That's all that I drink wine. And from drinking 4 cups of wine by Pesach, I get such a headache that I have to bandage my head from Pesach until Shavuos. I have a headache for 50 days because I drank 4 cups of wine. I don't drink wine. Ella, how come my face is glowing? Not because I drink. The wisdom of a person illuminates his face. So I'm shining because of the wisdom that Hashem gave me. Wisdom makes a person happy.
Yeah, if you see a picture of the Vilna Goy, if it's whatever, he looks like good. They say he never ate, he never slept, he never ate, and he looked robust.
They say that, I heard it from Rabbi Miller. They say that women used to come stand in a place where Sanua that they shouldn't be seen. They shouldn't be seen, but they wanted to see the girl. And they were like in a place lower. They went over a bridge. They were down. They were in a place lower down, and they saw that he looked like a fat. So I don't know who the one is quoted, but he said Kedusha macht fat. Kedusha makes fat. He said up shot what that means, but here it says that the wisdom of a person illuminates his face. New story. The Mechutin.
I was Mechutin.
I think so.
Oh,
All these Moshes Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Lo, he looked very robust. So at Stuki says Rabbi Yehuda that your face looks like either that you lend with interest, means easy money without doing any work, so you look so happy and rich, and or that you raise pigs, that also good business. So he told them that the Jews, the Suki is probably a Christian, that usually what it is, it's a censorship. It probably was supposed to say min or something like that. So he said that the Jews, both of them, you're not allowed to lend with ribbis and you're not allowed to raise pigs. Ella, you know why I look so healthy? There are 24 outhouses on the way from my house to the base medrash. Then I utilize all of them. We had the Gemara similar in Brachas, says on the side, does it say Brachas 55? Over there it says a little different. It wasn't a Tzluki, over there it says Matronisa, but the same idea, that he utilized all the opportunities to relieve himself. Next story. That it honors its owner. That means a person who works is going to be honored because of his work, and not that the actual work honors him, but the fact that he benefits from the work. Like here, he's going to get to the Bismillah, he's going to have a chair to sit on. Everybody else is going to be sitting on the floor, and he'll be sitting on a chair. So he invested the effort in order to be able to benefit from that chair, and even though it meant that he did the work, he was carrying it in the street. Rav Shimon Shakil Sana Al Kasve, Rav Shimon would take a basket on his shoulder and carrying it. This is the same idea. I don't know if the basket means he sat on it, doesn't say what he did with it.
It's a little different. There it's just sit and live.
It's not the point. The point is that Chabad says Bala. It doesn't. In fact, he was carrying it. He called him Malachim. I imagine that it was not so Mechubad. It means like you see a person carrying a chair and carrying a stool in the street that he's doing it in order to sit, but they end up having more covered from it than getting degraded from it. Next story. The Visu.
They get covered because of the malacha part, not that.
It doesn't say that. It says they don't say that. They say because he sat on the chair, came to the basement. She didn't have to sit on the floor.
What about the case?
The dollar malacha that you benefit.
So nafkamina, but you're not getting covered. If you want to schlep a ladder.
So the ladder is useful. Whatever you're gonna get with the ladder, and you'll have.
You're not getting covered. You'll fix your light
Right.
bulb.
So
You're not
you're
getting
gonna
covered.
get like gedol malacha shemeira as a bais. Gedol malacha that you don't have a leaky roof because you use a ladder to fix your roof. And the malacha, that means that the results that you get from the malacha, so it's attributed to the malacha. The malacha brought you that malacha. They don't learn that it means, all the Rishonim have to say the same thing, that he benefited from the result of the malacha. The Visu, there's a story, the Rosh Shiva, he says over that when he was a boy, Bachar, his father, Yitzchak Shlomo, they needed a pipe. There's something broke in the house, they needed a pipe. So he told the son to come with him. They went to the Tambur, and they brought a long pipe, and the Yitzchak Shlomo told them, you take one end, and I'll take the other end, and we'll take it home. And he said he was ready to, if it would have been a pit over there, he would have buried himself, because it was very embarrassing to walk on the street with a long pipe. It's not done, right? And Rabbi Shlomo said, Gedol Malacha Shemechaved Es Hezbollah. So I will be on a different shot and okay, next. The Visu the Rabbi Yehuda, Nafkas Imra. It seems he was poor. It seems that Yehuda was poor. His wife went and got some wool of the Glima.
Wife?
The Visu was a wife. Either Itza or the Visu. Itza means Isha and the Visu means Besa. Or Besa. But it means his wife. The wife of Rabbi Yehuda, Naktas, in which she went out and she got wool of the Glima, the Hutvi. And she made a coat, some kind of a beged, the Hutvi. So I don't know what Hutvi means. So it seems, what does Hutvi mean? I don't know, some kind of a coat. It seems that it wasn't so dignified. It was like minimum something that was poor. When she would have to go out to the shuk, she would wear it. And when he would have to go out to daven, he would cover himself with it. And he was so enthusiastic about this kind of beged, he said, made a bracha that Hashem wrapped me with a coat. And mil is like a chashuva coat. So even though it was cheap and not a chashuva one, he was happy with it, and he said a bracha on it. One time Rav Shimon Gamliel made a fast day because there was no rain probably, or some sorrow, and Avidah didn't come to the tainus. Amalei, so people told Rav Shimon Gamliel the reason why probably he didn't come is because he doesn't have a beggar to come. Lo islay kisuya, he doesn't have a covering to come with. Shoda lake lima, so Rav Shimon Gamliel sent him a coat, below kabel. He didn't accept. And Dali Tzipsa, he raised the mat. He told to the messenger who came to give him the coat, Chazima Ika, look what is over here. And it seems that there was money over there. I showed him a whole bunch of money. He really didn't have money. So the Mepharshim learned that it was a miracle happened, that there was a bunch of money over there. I think the Pashup Shach, you can just learn that he picked it up and says, you see how much money I have? He didn't give him a chance to look at it. He closed it down again. You can learn that it's, but you're saying I have plenty of money. That's not my problem. I don't want to benefit from this world. So he was poor. And he didn't have money, and he was happy. He had a coat made out of what?
Is this Rabbi
Avidah
Yehuda
Bar-Ilai.
But he didn't go here to the wedding. What was
He didn't go to the Tainus. The people came together.
Canary wasn't a chiyuv to go. Would have been a chiyuv to go. He would have had to borrow money or something. Not borrow. He would have had to accept the present. No.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know. So that's where we're stopping it today, and the next story is about Rabbi Akiva.
Is it right?
The next story is the story, famous Rabbi Akiva story. We had it ready, Subdas already, but here's quoted a little different. Okay, I guess that's our time. Our time is up. Or we can go further. We can learn I got it like this also. If you want to go further, we can go further. We're up to Daf Nun.
No.
I mean, we did mem test today.
I can go with a little more, but it's up to the.
It's all I got it now. Okay, with everybody. Okay, that's your call.